South Africa on this stormy Monday evening here in Newcastle, and it's cooling down with a storm. We have a physical storm, and the topic today, braving your beliefs, is often a metaphorical storm. It really puts you in a vulnerable space when you decide to brave your beliefs. And this is what I mean by that. When one is looking at one's own beliefs, it takes a courage to self-examine and to say, well, what are my beliefs? And if you're asking yourself, what do I believe about this and what do I believe about that, and you asking yourself that constantly, then you know that you're not building a foundation for your beliefs. And then you need to ask yourself a second question, which is, are your beliefs on loan from your village? You know the one I mean, the village that raised you. We all grow up with these beliefs from the village that raised us. And the beliefs may often be very well-meaning, but it doesn't necessarily mean that those beliefs align with our personal truth, align with what we came into this world to be and to do. So often they just don't feel right, they don't sit right, but we keep going through the motions and we keep believing in a certain doctrine or a certain action or a certain way of being, a certain way of life, because we feel, well, we must have been taught right, and this is what I learned and this is what I will believe, instead of just looking at, well, does it fit? Does it feel good? And that's where self-love comes in, because it is really radical self-love to have the courage to look at something that you believed or you do believe, and you hear yourself say it out loud, or you hear yourself tell someone about it, but it just doesn't feel right. You just don't feel like that is you. You feel as if someone else is speaking. You feel as if you're just relating a story, and it really doesn't feel like conviction from the heart, like I'll stand for it, and I know, the knowing, that foundation is not there. So when we feel that knowing is not there, the foundation's not there, and maybe the belief is on loan from the village that raised us, and we're brave enough to actually do that, we then have a choice. Do we keep going, or do we change course? And at that point, knowing that there is no judgment, it's just a choice. Do we keep going? And if we keep going, is our reason for keeping to the path, is that reason enough to take us through to where we feel authentic and we feel like we're living our deepest truth? And if not, when we change course, we've got to realize that we're not alone, that we've been guided, and when we feel guided, we're in the process of building that foundation where there is that knowing of what we believe, and we come from that with a certain sense of support, a certain sense of safety, where we just know that we know every step is guided. And that's what we want to feel with our beliefs. And there is no because. No, because when we're explaining things, when we're having to explain ourselves or our beliefs, and this keeps happening, not from a point of view of just telling someone your point of view, not from the point of view of just telling someone who you are, but from the point of view of explaining over and over why you believe a certain thing, then that's a sign that one has to explain something one isn't particularly convinced about or sure about. And that can be frightening, especially when you've held a certain belief and you find yourself questioning. The questioning takes courage, but that is braving your beliefs. And at that time, you tend to stand up and rise into who you are. And you start living your deepest truth. And there is no because. You just are. And because of your energy, using the word because in a different sense, when you're coming from that energy, then everyone gets it and receives it that way. Just receiving who you are in that moment. Someone of conviction, someone who's risen up into their deepest truth and their greatest sense of self-worth. And that is possibly the greatest feeling, the greatest liberation, the greatest freedom. It's also the greatest vulnerability, and it is the greatest sense of safety and being held. It's all that in one and more. And when one is sure, when one has gone through that, then it's just that sense of love and light and guidance. If you don't know that, trust me on that. I was someone who had to brave those beliefs, and it took a lot, and it took many years. But when I did, it was the greatest feeling ever. And now I know that I'm not alone. I can drop into my heart and know who I am. And when I feel misaligned and I get that inauthentic feeling, all I have to do is go into stillness and find that space and get into alignment. It's a knowing, and it's always there. And that guidance, if you're questioning whether you should take the path you've been taking, or go on a different path, that guidance, that love, that light is so worth it. There is no better feeling. And you're worth it. You matter. That's what counts. Absolute radical self-love. It's worth it. Love and light to you.